Today's lesson was created by you. I asked you to ask us your top questions about daily routines. So today I'm here with my husband, Dan.
Hello.
And we're going to be answering your questions. Will your question be featured in today's lesson? I don't know. We'll watch to find out. Hi, I'm Vanessa from SpeakEnglishWithVanessa.com, and like always, I have created a free PDF worksheet, which is here over Dan's face, and it is going to include all of the wonderful questions, all of the vocabulary that we're going to use today, definitions, extra sample sentences so that you can use this vocabulary yourself, because the goal of today's lesson is to help you understand real conversations, but also be able to have real conversations yourself. So please download this free worksheet, expand your vocabulary and your speaking skills so that you can go into the world with confidence. You can click on the link in the description to download that free PDF worksheet today. All right, are you ready to get started with our first category of questions?
I'm ready. I'm coming in blind too, so this should be interesting.
Yeah, Dan has no idea what these questions are. The first category are questions about daily routine. The second category are questions about food. And the third category are questions about activities or hobbies. And there are a lot of questions. So we're gonna try to whip through these lightning speed and just see what happens. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, questions about daily routine. The first question is, what is your routine every morning?
My routine every morning. Well, as you know, I get out of bed, I look in the mirror for 2 seconds and I go like this.
And I always laugh because I think that is such a non-woman way to get ready in the morning. Just, okay, I'm good.
Yeah, okay, nothing on my face. All right, go. And then maybe brush my teeth sometimes. And then go make breakfast. So I make breakfast for both my kids, but not you because you like to eat later. And then I pack my son a lunch and myself a lunch, and then we go to school. We drive to school together. So gather all the stuff and go.
Yep, that's a morning routine.
How about you?
Well, while Dan is making breakfast, I wake up, I nurse our baby, and walk into the kitchen, try to spend a little time with our kids. I make some tea, we eat breakfast together, and I help our oldest get out the door with Dan.
That could be a challenge.
And then I spend some time with our 3-year-old before we go to preschool. So our carpool friends pick him up to take him to preschool about 30 minutes after they leave. So we have a nice 30 minutes of quality time together. And usually I push him on the swing outside. That's his favorite thing. And then he goes to preschool with our carpool friends, and I put our baby down for a nap, and my day begins. All right, question number 2.
Question 2.
How has your morning routine changed now that you have 3 kids? What hasn't changed is the question.
Well, the biggest thing is school for me.
Yeah.
Like, we never had to get ready for school before. And I work at the school too, so pretty much everything has changed about the morning routine because of the children. But as far as 3 children go, I mean...
2, 3?
Yeah. Our third baby's so easy. It doesn't really, she doesn't really count as far as a lot of work yet.
Yeah, I feel like the routine changing was more... no kids or kids. When you don't have kids, your morning routine is really different. Like, we just spent more time. It was quieter. I don't even know what life was like. Drank my tea quietly. But now you're always multitasking. I'm reading a book, nursing a baby, and drinking my tea at the same time. There's just more going on all the time. I'd say that's the biggest thing for me. All right, next question. What is the best part of your daily routine that you really enjoy?
Coffee.
No, it doesn't have to be morning routine. It could be like...
I thought you said morning routine.
Daily routine. Like, that's the thing that's changed the most since having 3 kids.
The most about...
Anything that routinely happens in your day is considered your daily routine. So something that happens regularly.
It might still be coffee. Yeah, I don't know. I have a morning coffee and an afternoon coffee. And, try to cling to those moments when I can.
Cool.
I also like lunchtime. Food and drink are really nice. I mean, it's routine, It's like, this is what I do every day.
Yeah.
The ride to and from school is nice as well because I usually listen to something with my son, either music or an audiobook. And we chat together as well. And so that's a nice routine that we have going every day.
Yeah, some quality time together. Yeah.
And how about you?
I think, well, I had the privilege of reading these questions in advance, so I had a moment to think about them.
Think about it.
I think one of the parts of my day that I enjoy the most is at the end of the day when we sit at the table and we eat dinner. We often ask each other a very simple question: what was the best part of your day? Sometimes we also ask, what was the most challenging part of your day? If a day was particularly challenging, or just if we remember it. And it's interesting to kind of hear what everyone has to say. For our kids, sometimes it's this meal right now. Like they only live in the moment. They don't remember what happened 10 minutes ago. It's just, what was the best part of your day? Right now. So I like definitely. That kind of a moment together. Yeah, I think that's something that I look forward to, coming together at the end of the day. Next question is, what do you do at night when you are going to sleep? So what's like your nighttime routine?
A nighttime routine for me, I don't really think I have much of a nighttime routine. I mean, I brush my teeth.
Good.
And sometimes I shower.
Good.
These are things I sometimes do every night, or most nights. Yeah, but other than that, I am the kind of guy who just kind of hits the pillow and falls asleep pretty quickly. Nowadays, especially, I mean, before kids, I had trouble going to sleep and wouldn't fall asleep. But now that I have children, when I go to bed, I'm just going to sleep. Typically.
You're just really tired.
Yeah, not too much of a bedtime routine. I've tried to throw some stuff in there before, like trying to do breathing exercises and meditation. But I would say I am not consistent enough in those practices to say it's a routine as of now.
Okay, all right. Well, that's, maybe the goal in the future at some point.
And for you?
Nighttime routine. What do you do at night when you're going to sleep? I think usually after the kids go to bed, I tidy up a little bit, like you do the dishes a little bit. I read a book usually, or sometimes lately I've been listening to a book. Very exciting. And usually, like Dan said, I'm kind of zonked by the end of the day. And brush my teeth, maybe take a shower, and go to sleep.
Maybe take a shower.
Maybe take a shower. I don't know. They say it's not healthy to take a shower every day. So
somebody says that.
that's what we're going with.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's pretty much it. Nighttime is a little bit more relaxed than mornings, because in the morning you're trying to manage multiple people and get started in the day, and there's more energy. So the end of the day is just kind of more.
Yeah.
All right. The question we kind of touched on just a second ago: who helps you? So I think they're talking about me. Who helps me in your daily chores? So let's talk about what chores means first, and then we can talk about who does daily chores.
Yeah, the chores are any work that you have to do to make the household run.
Yep.
So the classic example is laundry and dishes.
Yep.
Doing the dishes, that's my job. So I don't know if it's 50-50, but we split the chores. We try to be relatively even about it. And so, yeah, I do the dishes and...
I do the laundry.
You do the laundry. Those are the big ones. I mean, there's a lot of kid chores.
Yeah.
You got to give them a bath. You got to put them to bed. I mean...
You make breakfast.
Those are chores.
I make lunch.
Oh, cooking as well, yeah.
And then we both kind of make dinner. I think instead of saying every other day we make dinner, it's more that there's specific meals that I cook.
Our expertises.
And specific meals that you cook. And depending on what we've scheduled for the week, we try to schedule 2 weeks of meal plans. And that way we know Monday, we have different days. Miso Monday, Taco Tuesday, Soup Saturday, stuff like this, Fish Friday. And that way we have some kind of routine about food. Because when you have kids, especially when you have kids, just feeding them can feel really overwhelming, because they're always hungry. There's always something more to make. And then you're also trying to spend time with them while you're cooking, and sometimes they want to help, and that is good, but it's also chaotic. So I think having that routine for what you're going to eat, when you're going to eat it, who's going to make it, I think that's really important. And I would say one more thing about sharing chores. The way that our lives work, we both have a job, and we also are parents. So our professional and personal lives are very similar. I have some friends who, for example, their husband works, and the mother, her 100% job is the home and the children. So she cooks every meal because that is her job. That is her professional job to do that. And it's a lot. It is very difficult.
A lot of times it's harder than a real job. A real job.
A money-making job.
A money-making job
is usually easier, yes, than taking care of the home and the children. So in that situation, their roles would be a little bit different. But for us, we can split it a little more evenly because our lives are just set up like that.
Yeah. You are home more now.
Yeah.
So you probably pick up more little stuff than I do. Literally picking up little stuff everywhere.
That's a good phrase. It means like you also do more things, but also in the home you have to tidy up a lot. So you have to pick up books and toys and I don't know what, raisins on the floor. Anyway, let's go to our next question.
Raisins.
There's a lot of raisins on the floor. This is the last one for daily routine, and then we'll go to food. The question is, how much TV do your kids watch per day? Dun, da, da.
So our children don't watch any TV if they are going to school.
Yeah.
So they don't watch any TV that day because, they've had enough stimulation at school and they don't need any more after that. And we usually just read a book to them or do something outside.
And they get home kind of late, and I don't want them to just watch TV and then go to bed. There's not much time together.
Yeah, and because it's not a habit for them during school days, they don't really beg for it, which is what you want.
They're also young, like 6 years old and 3 years old, so they don't know. Maybe later when they get older, they'll kind of beg, please, I want to do this, I want to watch this. So I don't know what the future holds. Maybe they'll do that in the future, but for right now, this is the routine, and they're okay with it.
Yes. And then, so on non-school days, they're allowed to watch 30 minutes and maybe an hour on one day a week. Like Sunday, we let them watch a little more. But typically, it's no more than 30 minutes.
Usually, I would say it's an hour because they each get they each get to choose one.
Oh, I guess those.
They each get to choose one show, and I think the important thing for us with TV is choosing which shows are okay, because there's a lot of shows that they say they're for kids, but it's just not good for kids. It's too fast. It's too much like violence or bad attitudes or bad role models or whatever it might be. So we want to make sure our kids are being exposed to good stuff.
Our children watch educational cartoons.
Well, it can be entertaining too, but they each get to choose one thing. So like 20 minutes. And I think, not watching it on school days has been a really good routine for us because they get home from school. And for me, when I've had a really busy day, I need to decompress and process what's happened. And if I jump into just like media and watching a movie or TV or looking at my phone, I just don't feel as calm. Like it doesn't help. And I don't want my kids to learn that the way that you can decompress at the end of the day is by watching TV. I think it's better to connect with them, at least at this young age when they're still okay with that. I understand when Theo is 13 years old, he's not going to say, Mom, let's read a story together, that would be nice, but that's okay. I understand it won't happen. So while they're young, I think that's important to kind of focus on connecting with them at the end of the day. All right, next category, questions about food. We talked a little bit about who cooks what, but this is what kind of meals, specifically for breakfast, specifically for lunch, and for dinner, do you cook for your family? So let's start with breakfast. What kind of things do we eat for breakfast?
Okay, well,
breakfast man.
When the chickens were laying eggs, because we have chickens, and they've stopped laying eggs because it got cold and they molted and whatnot, so
they're not
now we're getting like one egg like every 2 days, so
it's pretty bad.
Anyway, but before that, I cooked eggs every single day. I would make either scrambled eggs or fried eggs, and a piece of toast with some jam. And
Cool.
then if not that, then I make oatmeal. And those are the 2 breakfasts. Works every time.
Yep.
And
Pretty simple.
then for lunch, I'll make a sandwich of some kind.
Especially on a school day. Yeah.
Or I'll bring leftovers from home, which is probably what I prefer. But
Yeah.
sandwiches are good too.
I feel like
Classic American meals.
yeah, lunch, like when I make lunch for Freddie or when we're all home, like on a vacation for lunch, because I usually make lunches if we're all home, some type of bread, some type of spread or dip. So maybe it's peanut butter or almond
Bread and
butter
spread.
or hummus and olives and carrots and apples, stuff like that, like little munchies, little things like that usually.
She is the queen of munchie lunch, that's for sure.
Yeah, just one big plate with lots of stuff on it and everyone eats it. It doesn't have to be anything spectacular, but you just choose what you want. Little pieces of cheese cut up, whatever it might be, you just eat it. I think for dinner, usually we have, like I said, a meal plan. So we have like specific things that we make. So every Monday, Dan is miso man.
Miso soup.
Miso soup. We have like kind of fish-based miso, and then there's a beef-based miso. So there's a couple different types. We make tacos on Tuesdays. They're not really Mexican tacos. They're just Vanessa-style tacos.
I like Taco Tuesday.
So we make breakfast tacos with like sausage and eggs and potatoes. There's beef tacos, fish tacos. I'm sure I've made like sweet potato tacos, tons of different types. We make lots of soup, some salads, depending on if it's the summertime and we have a lot of fresh stuff in our garden.
Borscht.
Oh, we just made borscht.
Lately.
We made borscht yesterday. Yeah, lots of different things. I think in the US it's kind of unusual because we don't have like American cuisine. We don't have like a long history of the same type of food. So I know that when we lived in Korea,
Sure we do. It's called hot dogs and hamburgers.
but like our ancestors 100 years ago were not eating that. It's not like something that's been passed down, you know? So like when we lived in Korea.
I got some German heritage, so.
Okay, maybe they've been eating sausage for a long time. Like they ate Korean food at every meal. And there's no question.
Yeah,
like,
it's very different.
Are we going to eat tacos today? Are we going to eat, I don't know.
Miso soup.
Miso soup, like what are we going to eat? No, it was always Korean food. So there's kind of like that food tradition. And so I think in the US that's like a pro and a con, that people often struggle with knowing what should I eat? What should I make? And also maybe not having that food tradition makes people, this is my theory, more susceptible to like fad diets because they don't have like a strong culture of, oh yeah, we eat rice and kimchi and seaweed every day for breakfast.
Yeah.
It's like you're more susceptible to being like, I'm going to eat 4 pounds of watermelon for breakfast because that's the new diet. Okay, well, that's not healthy.
That's a Vanessa diet for sure.
Well, I do love watermelon. That was a example. But anyway, so that's kind of stuff that we make. And I think we spend a lot of time cooking, but we try to include our kids and we try to prioritize healthy food, eating together. It seems hectic sometimes, but like trying to slow down and prioritize those like essentials in life, especially when our kids are young.
You try to include the kids.
I try to include the kids.
I'm like, no. I need to be able to chop something without cutting off a finger or whatnot.
Yeah, it is definitely a specific task to try to cook with children. Like you have to manage them. It's not a solo, quiet.
On your average day, it's not something I want to do. Just because it's just, the end of the day kind of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's go to the next question. This is a fun one. What meals make your family say that they think they've died and gone to heaven? So like, what's our family's favorite meals?
For Theo and Freddie, it's like half of them. They'll be like, this is amazing. This is the greatest thing I've ever had.
They love food.
Yeah, they are very good non-picky eaters.
Yeah, I think there's a term we often say for kids that like they're good eaters. If a kid is not picky, we'd say, oh, they're such good eaters. I'm so grateful. And that's true for our kids. Like they eat everything. Like we made borscht yesterday and they said,
liked it.
This is so good. I love this. And I think like
trying to remember the last thing they were like, this is the best thing ever.
I think the only meals they don't like, Theo doesn't like fried rice.
He doesn't like shiitake mushrooms.
He doesn't like shiitake mushrooms.
Or mushrooms in general. Oh, they really like my pizza.
Yeah, your pizza.
Hard not to like that.
They love miso. They love tacos. They love soups and salads. And they'll grab like handfuls of anything in the garden, like raw kale and cabbage. They'll just like grab it and eat it.
Yeah, they enjoy it a lot more if they pick it themselves.
Yeah, and say like, oh, there's a bug on it. Okay. Like, it doesn't really matter. So they're really not picky. And I think for us too, we enjoy food. So whenever we go on a date, something that we like to do is go to a restaurant that we enjoy the food. It's like special food that we don't cook at home, because we cook a lot of special food at home. So something that's like unique and different, and that's an interest for us as adults. So I think it's something fun to kind of share with our kids that, oh, we're excited to try this, and they're actually excited too. That's nice. So we'll see for our baby. Hopefully she's not picky too. Hopefully she
probably won't be.
She loves food. We'll see. All right, let's go to the next one. This is the last question about food. It is, what is your favorite type/style of coffee to drink daily?
Oh, coffee.
This is for you.
We're going to coffee.
Yeah, what kind of coffee type or style of coffee do you like?
So I like a medium roast coffee.
Okay.
Not so much, yeah, right in the middle. And I like Colombian coffees. It's a very cliche kind of coffee.
Okay, for reference, if someone doesn't know anything about any of those, what would you label Starbucks as? Because most people are familiar with like...
They just over roasted, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like dark roast.
They have a couple that are okay, but for the most part, if you want to make Starbucks taste any good, you got to put a bunch of stuff in it.
That's what people usually do.
And that's what a lot of people who go to Starbucks do.
Okay.
Although, there are some people who like dark roast and they just, I don't know, like my dad, his taste buds have been burnt for centuries, for ages. And so he'll drink just about any coffee and be like, yeah, it's coffee.
Okay.
I feel a little bit like that sometimes too. Coffee drinkers, if you need coffee, you just go and get coffee, right? But
I've definitely seen you drink gas station coffee before on a
and I kind of like it too. But I kind of pictured like gas station coffee, like it's been made in a lab somewhere, and they're like, how can we make this a little more appealing to the truck drivers? They drop in a little something.
Okay.
Kind of has that flavor to it,
Okay, a little extra
gas station
magic.
coffee.
Well, I don't like coffee, so that's it.
But at home, I like a variety, but yeah, I like typically Colombian coffee.
Okay.
Just classic kind of nutty, roasty, chocolatey.
If any of you are from Colombia and you want to send Dan whole roasted coffee beans,
bring me the coffee. Yes.
he would love that.
Actually, the coffee from Costa Rica was very good too. You even like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, the only time I've ever liked coffee and drank a full cup of coffee, because in the US we don't just have little espresso shots of coffee, we have like full cups of coffee.
People do the little K-cup things.
Well, it becomes a big cup though in the end. Yeah. Like it becomes a mug of coffee.
Right, yeah.
I'm thinking about how like in Italy, there's just a little tiny espresso and that's your coffee for the day.
That drove me nuts. In Italy, it's like, I want coffee. Can I have a coffee? Can I get your biggest coffee? And it'd be like, this is like their biggest coffee.
That's like the most American thing ever.
Yeah, it was very American, yes.
Well, at the farm we stayed at in Costa Rica, they grew their own coffee beans, and something about it was just perfect. It was smooth. It wasn't bitter.
Not too acidic.
I think that's the big thing. And I don't like the way that coffee makes me feel. The amount of caffeine is just too much for me. I drink tea. I drink black tea, and that has caffeine in it. But coffee on a regular basis makes me feel too jittery and kind of anxious. And I've met other people like this, and it's like my soulmates. We just like understand that feeling. Because a lot of people that drink coffee regularly, like you're like, I don't know what that feels like. What do you mean?
I'm very acclimated, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. So anyway, that's my answer, is only the coffee from a specific farm in Costa Rica.
Must be grown in your backyard in Costa Rica.
Yes, I am the pickiest of all. All right, let's go to our next category, which are questions and about hobbies and activities.
Oh.
The first question is, do you have much time for reading? What goes along with that is, what's the last book you read? And there's a couple others that are just questions for me. Do you have much time for reading, Dan?
Yeah, technically I do.
What was the last book you read?
Oh goodness, it's probably a nonfiction book of some kind. I don't know. I haven't finished a book in a long time, honestly. I start a lot of books, and then I scan the footnotes and all that. And,
That's okay. I read enough for like 4 people.
yeah. Honestly, I don't read that much, but I like reading when I do. I just don't. I just tend to watch videos and, do other stuff.
Yeah. Take care of kids.
Well, yeah, there's that too. I listen to audiobooks, children's audiobooks with my son, and I read a lot of stories to them, but these are children's books. So yeah, I don't really even remember the last book I read, but I am going in blind on these questions. So
if you think of it later, let us know.
Okay, but I do know somebody who reads a lot, and that's my wife.
That's me. So I think at any given time, I'm probably reading like 3 books. Right now, I'm just finished listening to one of the most amazing books that I've ever listened to.
Oh yeah, she tells me all about them too, so I don't need to read them.
He reads vicariously through me. So this book is actually one that I want to listen to together. It's called Endurance, and it's about Ernest Shackleton's failed Antarctic exploration, and it's considered the greatest survival story of all time, and it is so incredibly unbelievable. Like, it is 100% true. It includes so many of their diary segments, so like their individual thoughts and their words, and the way that the guy reads it. He is such a good reader. I think reading the book yourself would be nice, but the way that his voice, he has a different accent for each of the people because they're from a lot of different British Isles countries. Another guy's from Australia in the story. So he just reads it so well. So if you have, for example, like an Audible account, I highly recommend listening to Endurance about Ernest Shackleton.
So you're counting that as reading?
Yeah.
Even though you listened to it?
Yes, it is consuming a book, not just short form content like an article or something like that. I read a lot. I feel like the times that I read a lot are when I'm nursing because I have a small baby, so I nurse her a lot. And oftentimes while I'm nursing her, she's almost asleep. So if the other children are taken care of and I'm not trying to nurse her and take care of them, if I'm in the quiet of the bedroom, I have a Kindle, which is great. It has like a little light, so I can read on my Kindle, and I have 30 minutes, maybe 15 minutes sometimes, and I can read my book. Or I deleted social media stuff off of my phone, so that really helped. I upped my reading when I did that because I found myself just in those spare moments, especially because my life is so busy. There's just always kids, and there's a work, and then there's our house. There's always something demanding my attention, that in those precious free moments, my animal brain just wanted like a hit of dopamine, like, oh, watch a YouTube video, oh, look at social media, and it was difficult to resist. So I had an interesting conversation with my sister, and we both decided just to delete all social media off our phones. And both of us since then have read so much. It was like as if this veil had been lifted and all of a sudden you have more time than you think you do. So if you're feeling like you don't have much time to learn English, maybe you do. Just delete social media off your phone and watch my YouTube videos on your computer or on a laptop, and something that's...
Have YouTube somewhere.
Something that's not instantly accessible. Something where you have to consciously choose to sit down and open it up. I think the phone is the dangerous part. That has helped me so much to have time to read. And I read so many books now. I'm also reading another book called Braiding Sweetgrass. I'm reading another book called The Highly Sensitive Person, which is a psychology book. A lot going on. And it's all for, depending on I feel like reading this now. I feel like reading this. I've got lots of options.
Well, if we're counting audiobooks,
yes.
The last impactful audiobook I listened to with Theo was Little House on the Prairie.
Classic. Yeah.
And we started Anne of Green Gables too, but that one was a little bit over his head.
Yeah.
Very verbose.
Yeah, it's probably better for like a 10-year-old than a 6-year-old.
Yeah, but Little House on the Prairie, that was very entertaining for an adult, I think.
Yeah, I love those books.
Very historically interesting and all.
Yeah.
All that. So yeah, that was great.
There's a like kind of a part 2 to this question, which is talking about reading. It says, do you have time to read your students' comments? Do you consider this distracting or extra work?
I don't.
You don't read the comments. I feel like reading YouTube comments, I generally read the comments on the most recent videos, and I don't read 100% of the comments, but I read most of them. And
I have noticed going to your videos, I see your responses more than your average YouTuber.
Yeah, I try to respond to like 10 comments or so for all the videos. And yeah, I enjoy reading them. I don't read them for hours every day. And it says, do you consider it distracting or extra work? I try to consider everything related to my job to be work. And it doesn't mean it has to be annoying or difficult work, but I try my best. I don't always succeed. I try to separate my personal life from my work. So when I'm spending time with my kids, I'm not looking at the YouTube comments on my video. Or when I'm cooking, I'm not spending time looking at the comments on YouTube. Or if I'm waiting to pick up my kid from school, I'm not looking at the comments. I only do that during my work time. Yeah. And I think that really helps me to just feel more at ease, because I'm really good at multitasking, but after I multitask, I feel really totally beat, just like really drained of energy, because I've been working so hard to multitask and do all these things. So it's better for me, and I think it's better for like the people around me, if I focus on one thing instead of trying to do it all at the same time. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would say Vanessa probably has less interest in YouTube comments than probably your average YouTuber. You don't seem to really care that much about what people say. But positively, you know, she's not looking for praise is what I'm trying to say.
I feel like I try not to base my worth, my individual personal worth, on the comments and other people's opinions. I appreciate when people write nice comments, and especially my favorite types of comments are when people say, I've been watching your videos and my English has improved. That is my goal as a teacher. I want you to improve. So when I see that kind of change and the dedication of watching and studying, and that something that I provided actually helped you, that makes me feel really good. So I think that kind of detailed personal type of comment is really important to me. But it is true. I try not to...
I don't want to make it sound like you don't care at all.
Yeah, I'm not the kind of person that's like, oh, we got 3,000 likes. Yay!
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Yeah, those kind of like social media markers don't matter to me as much, but like personal change, that's really special. So please keep sharing things like that. The next question is mainly for me. How do you have time to prepare videos and still be present with your family?
I ask that all the time, honestly.
So the question is like, how do you balance your work? How is your work-life balance? How do you work and have a family? I think the only way that my job still exists with having kids is that there's other people on my team who help to make that happen. So there's someone who helps with my emails. There's someone who helps to edit the PDFs that are downloaded for free for you. You can download today's free PDF. There's someone who helps to edit these videos. All of that makes it possible, because I don't have 40 hours every day to do it all.
Yeah. Her team used to be me.
Yeah.
But since that we've changed that, it's gotten better actually.
Well, I've certainly been able to diversify. Different people can specialize in different types of jobs. So that really helps everything to run smoothly. We also had, before this school year, my 3-year-old went to preschool this year for the first time. So he's at school from 9 to 1 o'clock. Before that, we had a babysitter come over to our house for like 3 mornings a week, 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock for 3 mornings a week. So I had, 9 hours? 9 hours to work every week. Sometimes it wasn't exactly 9 hours. Sometimes it was like 7 hours. But
Well, that's not including anything in the evening that you do.
yeah, my goal is to try to not work in the evening after the kids go to bed. But sometimes I would be pressed to have to do that. And now I try to delegate tasks. That means give tasks to other people so that I'm not feeling too overwhelmed or stressed, and I can focus on the things that I do best, like making these videos for you. The next question goes also with managing, but it involves you. With managing your house, YouTube channel, your teaching job, and kids, do you have time to work out?
Oh, work out, huh?
Yeah.
Actually, yes. So lately I have been running, which is pretty new for me.
Been a couple months.
Yeah, I've slacked a bit lately, but
When the time
I
changed and it
certainly-
got dark early, that made it really hard for you.
yeah, I don't like running in the pitch black. But
There's a lot of bears
yeah,
where we live.
I have time for sure. It's obviously hard to like find the motivation sometimes after
Yeah.
a long day. That's
Yeah.
the main thing. So, but I found that if I go for a run and I just start, it actually feels good. Especially if I'm like, I'm going to put on some headphones or even if just to get some fresh air and
You're actually alone.
I don't want this to sound like I want to be away from my kids, but sometimes when you go for a run and they're not there, it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's how I feel about going to the gym. So last year I was pregnant for the whole year. And then when our baby was born in June, I had some recovery time over the summer. And then at the end of the summer, I started going to the gym a couple times a week. I got sick for a little bit, had to take a pause. But I think this same idea of like doing something by yourself, when you're surrounded by people a lot,
When you're a parent.
or your job is teaching with lots of kids and
Oh, yeah.
your responsibilities are just pulling at you all the time, going to the gym and just listening to music or an audiobook like I like to do and running or lifting some weights, it feels actually pretty calming.
You
like
might
a
go
break.
to the gym and find Vanessa just like punching a punching bag. Like, I didn't know she had that in her.
It feels really good to just be, especially at night when it's dark outside and I go to the gym, it's just around the corner from our house and I see other people out and I think, oh, it's only 8:00, but like other people's day is
doing
not
things.
ending. It's going still. It just is, yeah, it's really nice, I think, to be able to do something like that, especially when you're around a lot of people all day. All right, next question. What kind of weather do you like?
Sunny weather.
Yeah?
I mean, really.
Yeah, where we live, it's really mild.
Yeah.
So our summers are hot, but 1 hour south from where we live in South Carolina, where I grew up, it's like 10 degrees hotter all the time.
It feels
in Fahrenheit.
significant, yeah.
Yeah, so here it's like pretty mild. We get a couple days of snow in the winter, but it's pretty good. You get a couple weeks where it feels like spring in the middle of winter too. So it's not
Yeah.
like unbearable where you get snow in October and the snow doesn't melt until May. We don't live somewhere like that, thankfully.
Yeah. I mean, to put a little more detail on it, I like mild weather. I don't like anything too hot or too cold. Although a nice snowy day is fun, but it's only fun like twice. So, but yeah, a little bit of clouds in the sky to give you some shade every now and then. And,
Nice little breeze.
breezy.
Yeah, not too
Some
many
flowers
mosquitoes.
out. Yeah, no mosquitoes yet.
Basically perfect. That would be nice.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Going from outside to inside, what kind of movies do you watch? This is what kind of movies do you watch on Netflix, but what kind of movies do you watch, TV shows do you watch, stuff like that?
Oh, TV shows too?
Movies, TV shows, media.
Yeah, we don't really watch movies.
I was trying to think of the last movie that we saw.
Man, well, so I'm not the most fun person to watch a movie with. I think I tend to have trouble not making comments during the movie, especially one-on-one with, sometimes it's fun,
Yeah.
right?
I can't remember the last movie that we watched.
Yeah.
Probably a kid's
Oh, I
movie,
know what
but-
it was. It was the Bohemian Rhapsody one.
Oh, yeah.
The Freddie Mercury one.
Yeah.
And I was quiet for it. I didn't make too many comments.
How did you enjoy it?
It was okay.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. That's a
I'm
glowing
kinda-
review from Dan.
I'm a bit of a tough critic, except for like silly humor. So we watched Bob's Burgers, which is a silly cartoon.
We watched The
on
Great British Baking Show.
Hulu, and we watched the Great British Baking Show.
That's a tongue twister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just fun. I don't know. I like stuff like that.
Yeah, I think we don't really...
Stuff a little more low commitment to. You don't have to like,
Yeah, a movie does
watch a
feel like
really
a commitment.
long movie.
Yeah, especially at the end of the day when like our kids go to bed and it's 8 o'clock. A movie's like 2 hours. I don't want to watch something for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I think when our kids get older and they want to watch movies, I will enjoy watching movies with them. But at this point, they don't watch movies, so
Yeah.
it's kind of...
Unless it's Thomas the Tank Engine.
it's not really like
And then
a
you're
movie.
like, no.
So I kind of feel like, yeah, we don't really watch an awful lot of movies
Yeah.
or TV shows, but we do watch like YouTube videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, I also don't like modern Hollywood movies. I just don't like how they feel. I don't like the way the action just is like something happens and it's not explained and it's too much. I don't know. It's not a clear vision.
Well, I have a recommendation for you, or a request for you. If you have a movie that you love, let us know in the comments, and maybe it's a movie that we could watch.
And just disregard my opinion.
And we could enjoy. So if there's something that you think we should watch, let us know in the comments, because we're not the experts when it comes to movies and TV shows. I think most of the movies that I like are not ones that I watch regularly, but like classic movies that I like. I don't know, like Forrest Gump or Shawshank Redemption, stuff like that. That's classics.
Yeah, the last time I went through a movie phase, the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
In college?
Yeah.
Like 15 years ago.
Was kind of like a semi-modern movie that I thought was cool and I liked.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching that. We watched that one a lot in college. All right, let's go to our next question, which is, we only have 2 more questions. We're almost there. What do you do in your free time with the kids? So there's a little bit of a weirdness to this question because it doesn't feel like free time when you're with the kids. Free time is when it's quiet and you're by yourself and you can do whatever you want. But I understand. It means when you're not like cooking or taking them to school and
when you're
stuff
just
like that.
having fun with your kids.
What do we do as a family? What kind of free time things do we do as a family?
Yeah, well, for my children, even when you're having free time with them, a lot of times it's child management.
Of course.
So, like my youngest son, he needs some physical time, so I'll wrestle with him. I'll throw him on the bed
He loves that.
and whatnot. So he needs a little bit of that, and Theo will jump in sometimes too.
Yeah.
But Theo's a lot more crafty, so he likes to do puzzles and play board games and stuff like that, and color. And so I'll sit down and do that with him a lot of times, although you usually do that with him because the other one needs some action or he might go a little crazy on you.
So usually Dan is throwing Freddie on the bed while I am coloring with Theo. I would say also like we do lots of like, I would say dirt stuff, like digging in the dirt, planting things, pulling weeds, walking in the woods and uncovering things under the leaves, like this kind of earthy play, which is also like, it's something that we like to do, but I think that is usually when we go outside, and we try to be outside like 80% of the day. At home we're outside a lot, and we're really lucky we have a nice yard and area that we can play in. They're like, yesterday, the last couple of days, our kids spent like hours digging a trench and filling it with water and pulling up the mud and making like a mud wall.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I was weeding the garden, pulling up weeds and preparing it for the winter. And you were...
Sometimes they help us a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of like being together in the same area.
It improves their mood to be outside as well.
Yeah. I think when I want to like do something fun with the kids, usually we'll like go to a park that has nature, so like a creek, and you'll skip rocks and the kids will splash in the creek, and I'll be with the baby or you'll be with the baby.
Yeah,
and
they
we'll
love
like
going
play.
to a creek, playing in water in general.
Yeah, I think it's not really my favorite thing to do kids specific things, like go to a kids museum or go to I don't know, even a playground is okay. Our kids don't really like playgrounds that much. I think they're more into
They go all around where the other stuff around the playground.
Go see the ducks
they like swings.
by the lake.
They like swings a lot.
Swings are okay. Yeah, I think that those really busy type of places where there's like just so many activities. You could do painting here, and then there's light shine things here, and there's like animal puppets here. Like kids museums, I feel overwhelmed. My kids feel overwhelmed. Can you guess why I'm reading the book, The Highly Sensitive Person? And yeah, it just, afterwards, they just cry or fuss, and it's no good. That's not fun for anyone. So generally the like slower activities, invite a friend to go on a hike with us. That type of stuff is generally what I prefer to do. Yeah, that's about it. Mm-hmm. All right, are you ready for the last question?
I'm ready.
Drum roll. Do you feel like you're a different woman after having 3 children?
Oh, yes, I do. As a matter of fact, after the third, I finally became a woman. Yes.
This question is obviously for me, but they gave some very specific things here. Do you feel like you're a different woman after having 3 kids? More mature, more empathetic, changes in your hobbies, media, daily decisions?
Estrogen levels.
You know, it is true that they say that when a man is near a baby or like you're around children, that your testosterone levels go down and you thus become more like caring and tender.
One might say womanly.
Ooh. All right. So I guess the answer is obviously yes, I am a different woman after having 3 kids. But I think there's a really beautiful, I don't know if it's a proverb or a kind of phrase that I've heard, that when a baby is born, a mother is born too. So it's kind of like this page-turning event. And I remember when we were taking a birth class for our first son, when I was pregnant with our first son, the teacher, she kind of gave this idea of thinking about your life, different events that you felt were a before and after. So maybe it was like your first day of school was really impressionable for you, and you felt like that was a big change for you. Or maybe when you first went to like high school, you thought, you know, I have my little friends and it's fine. Then you went to high school and there was a big school and you just felt really different. Or, I don't know, you moved to a new city. Those are kind of these page-turning events. And she framed it as when you have, especially your first child, a page has been turned. And there's no going back. There's no changing. There's a lot of obviously like physical changes and emotional and hormonal changes, but it's also just, you're a different person. You are still you, but it's this page has turned and you are Vanessa, the mother. So yeah, I think that's kind of the positive way to look at your life is not the same. You are not the same, but there's a lot of these instances in life that change you, and it's your choice if they will change you for the better or the worse. And so you try to make the most of it. Mm-hmm. So yes, I would say I'm a different person. I'm still me, but I am a different flavor of me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think that I am a different woman after having 3 kids, or just kids in general?
Certainly kids, yeah. After the third, well, you know, because pregnancy is so difficult for you, I think you just seem like you have a burden lifted.
Yeah, not being pregnant is great.
Yeah. But as far as like a third child, I don't know. I can only speak for myself because it just feels like our family's like complete. She's like the little cherry on top to our family.
Oh, our baby.
Yeah. She's really sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't say like for the third child that I've noticed like a huge change in you. Yeah.
I think the biggest change is having your first kid. Mm-hmm. Just going from not being a mother to being a mother. That's the biggest change.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me for all of these questions.
You're welcome.
If you have other questions that we have not answered, this is your challenge. In the comments, ask us a question about daily life, daily routines. Maybe you have questions about life in the US. Maybe you have questions about us personally that we can answer from our own personal experiences. Leave that in the comments, and maybe we'll make another video like this. And there will be a vocabulary version of this video coming out in a few weeks. So all of the expressions that you saw come up here, I will be explaining those in that vocabulary video. So make sure you subscribe to the Speak English with Vanessa YouTube channel so that you can get a notification when that video goes live. Boost your vocabulary, your skills, have great conversation skills. You can do it. And don't forget to download the free PDF worksheet here on Dan's Face with all of the great questions that you all asked today, the vocabulary, the definitions, extra sample sentences so that you can use them yourself. And at the bottom of this free PDF worksheet, you can answer Vanessa's challenge question so that you never forget what you've learned. You can click on the link in the description to download that free PDF worksheet today. Well, thank you so much, Dan.
You're welcome.
We've been on a journey today.
Yes, it was fun.
Good.
I liked going in blind.
Oh, yeah? Okay, well, maybe we'll do this again. Let us know. Thanks so much, and I'll see you again next Friday for a new lesson here on my YouTube channel. Bye.
Bye.
But wait, do you want more? I recommend watching this video next, a conversation with Dan about education. Do you know why Dan did not go to school until he was 13 years old? Find out in that video, and I'll see you there.